they need to do. They have the right by the Constitution, and I'm not a lawyer, but I can tell you they can come in and take your property. The thing that they have to do is compensate you as if you've never been injured. And it's funny because sometimes the other side, an attorney for the other side will come in and say, well, why don't we can buy this tree here from Home Depot for $40? I said, yeah, but it's an inch and a half big.
That's right. It's 2 feet high.
Yeah. What they had was a 60-foot tree with a 60-foot canopy that cooled their home. Here's pictures of the grandkids on the swing underneath it.
Uh-huh.
Tug
at the heartstrings. That's right.
Well, one of the smartest attorneys I ever worked for and I haven't worked with him that much in the last few years. Probably not doing he's probably doing bigger deals than they would use me for. But they had a case where they had a bunch of big oaks, and he got the judge to let the jury come out there, and they gave them all the nice picnic lunch, and they set a few benches out in the sun and a few underneath the trees. Guess where everybody wanted to go have their picnic lunch?
I imagine under the trees.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I thought, what a smart lawyer, because all of a sudden you have them identifying with you, and the folks were, the jury decided that they should be compensated to a nice tune, and they were. I've gotten actually 3 or 4 of my clients over $1 million. One nursery we had to count 20,000 plants. Huge. I actually had to start
taking. How much land did they have?
Well, they had a nursery.
Okay.
So they had a great big area down in South Florida, down by Okeechobee. And so we had to, I got James was with me, my wife was with me. We were counting. We had to start putting paint marks out because one group of ligustrums starts looking like another group of ligustrums. And then if I burn them.
Man, that must have taken a long time.
There was many, many weekends that I had to sacrifice and go down there and start counting. And in fact, I'd often we'd get a room and spend the night so you could get up early before the heat and start counting again. So that was one of the biggest projects I ever worked on. And it's kind of funny that the homeowner there goes, I'll take this, with the nursery owner. He says, I'll take this to the Supreme Court. And I said, well, I'm not a lawyer, and you ought to talk to a lawyer about that. But you don't just get to take something to the Supreme Court. There have to go before courts.
A couple of steps before that.
Before you get there. I said, but I do like your enthusiasm, but you talk to your attorney before you, file that motion with the Supreme Court.
You mentioned eminent domain, and my mind actually went back to my grandfather, who owned a farm in the south suburbs of Chicago when they were putting I-80 in, and the expressway literally cut his farm in half. He was not a happy man.
I bet not.
And he fought them tooth and nail. And of course he lost. They gave him, what the equivalent of the going price for an acre of land at that point, and he was not happy with it at all because he was now going to have to drive around to the next closest intersection, go down the street, block traffic, and then get to the other half of his farm to plow.
That's not nice.
That's not nice at all.
Yeah.
So when the bulldozers finally arrived on his property, he met them all with a 22.
I like him.
You touch my property, you're dead.
American, that's what made America great.
It didn't help. He was arrested. So.
Well, yeah. We'd have a GoFundMe for your grandpa.
He would, but there's still a highway going right through his farm. So.
Yeah, you tend to lose. You can fight the government all you want.
If you got money, yeah.
And you do have, the only way you can get compensated is by money. I mean, and money doesn't make it, but if he'd had the right attorneys, I know of a case similar to that, and they made them put a area, like a little raised bridge, so this farmer could go underneath it.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow, that was an expensive change.
He said, you raise it up so I can get to the other side of my growing area.
Grandpa preferred the 22.
And the reason our court system is so great is we try to not do the self-help routine, because every time you do the self-help routine where you're going to go and hit somebody or shoot somebody or, plant them in the backyard like you would a nice fruit tree, you normally, like Grandpa, you get arrested. So
he was funny afterwards. He said, Kenny, you never seen so many Fat guy is running so fast in your life.
Well, I see. Now I admire Grandpa's, oomph,
Yeah.
but I think he
went too far.
He could have used better representation.
I don't think he had any representation.
No, and that's a problem.
His representation was a 22.
I would tell most folks, if you were going into an eminent domain problem, first off, they're going to offer you a lot less than they should, because that's what they do. And if you will have to lawyer up, but the lawyer will know how to fight the case for you. And that makes all the difference in what you may get. I mean, I've seen one homeowner here and the same homeowner next to them. And that second homeowner who lawyered up, got about 10 times as much as the one who said, well, they offered me, $1,200 for half my yard. And you're going, well, that may not have been the best deal, because now you've got a yard that,
Especially when they talk to the neighbors eventually.
Yeah, how do you sell that?
I don't
Yeah. So
Exactly.
I think there are times that you need to get involved. People call me sometimes and I go, look, I'm not an attorney, but I do know many of the great attorneys in eminent domain, and I can point you in the direction of a couple of them.
Could a real estate agent help you out in a situation like that?
Well, they'll at least know what your value of your property could be. Often real estate agents will help get into the buying of the property if that's the case, and sometimes that occurs. You'll normally have a land planner. You may have an engineer, almost always an engineer. You're going to have an appraiser who would come in and give a value to the land or to the buildings. And sometimes you'll even have a building expert come in and give you a price for what it would cost to rebuild that building.
Well, I would think so, yeah.
And because often, if they come out with a fast pitch, sign here, you probably ought to read that contract over, or at least get the old 22. Did Grandpa have the old bolt action 22?
Yes.
I have that same. I may have Grandpa's gun.
That's the first gun I ever fired.
I used to love that gun. I had an old 22, and I had a buddy of mine once that had a brand new gun with a scope and everything on it.
Mm-hmm.
We went out to one of these approved ranges, and he was all laughing at my old. I had your grandpa's old 22, but guess who shot better? It wasn't the guy with the scope, because his scope was all messed up. But anyway, we'll talk more about your grandpa, my grandpa, and things that go green in the landscape, and maybe a little bit of real estate in there as well. But take your time to go out. Your assignment is to go look at some pretty plants this week, too. And I want you to look at some trees. Smell the
Want to
beautiful
talk real estate? Call James DeFreitas at 727-254-7127 or go online, aflre.com.
Why choose Stafford Tree Service? Is it because they're experienced, have the latest equipment, and friendly professional personnel? Absolutely. Stafford's positioned themselves as a leading tree trimming company in all of Tampa Bay. With honest professionals and competitive pricing, they'll earn your trust too. In business for over 15 years, Stafford Tree Service is licensed, bonded, and insured to provide you the very best tree trimming experience. Call today, 727-546-8786, 727-546-8786. On the web at staffordtreesvc.com.
Biophilia, our innate attraction to other living things. It's why people love plants. And around Tampa Bay, Plants, that's Plantz, is bringing nature inside, in workspaces and homes by delivering beautiful foliage plants. Our plants increase oxygen and filter out pollutants, reducing stress and improving productivity, and get you in touch with your biophilic side. Go to plantz.us.
Are you considering a unique way to enhance your investment knowledge this year? Then sign up today for the all-inclusive Eagle Financial Publications Cruise. Along with our trusted partner, The Money Show, we're setting sail this December to explore some of the most beautiful and unspoiled destinations in the Caribbean. But this is no ordinary vacation. It's a chance to learn from top Eagle financial experts like best-selling authors George Gilder, Mark Skousen, and others who will be hosting a series of workshops and seminars throughout the trip. Imagine lounging on the sun deck while discussing investment strategies with like-minded individuals. or enjoying a gourmet dinner at the same table with one of our leading financial authorities. This once-in-a-lifetime cruise is a perfect way to combine education and relaxation to achieve your investment goals. This cruise will sell out quickly, so visit eaglefinancialcruise.com today to learn more and to secure your cabin. That's eaglefinancialcruise.com. Eagle Financial is a division of Salem Media Group.
If you're a business owner, imagine getting up to $26,000 per employee. There's still time for business owners to file for the Employee Retention Tax Credit Program. This program is for business owners who continue to pay their W-2 employees during the COVID pandemic. Many businesses qualify and simply do not know it. All business types and industries may qualify. You can claim the credit even if you received a PPP loan. This is a cash payment and not a loan, and can be claimed now. The licensed CPAs and tax professionals at DH Tax and Consulting have been serving business owners across the country for over 15 years. The best part is that until you receive your cash payment, you don't pay us a dime. Our tax credit specialists are available now at 833-ERC-FILE, and your tax payment estimate is quick, easy, and free. That's 833-ERC-FILE to qualify you and your business for up to $26,000 per W-2 employee for free federal aid. Call us now at 833-ERC-FILE. That's 833-ERC-FILE.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb in Real Estate Show. Got questions about perennial flowers? What about issues with closing on your newest property? Locally, call 813-289-1860. Toll free at 877-969-8600. And now your hosts, Stan and James DeFrides.
And of course, this is one of our live shows, so if you have a question, you can give us a call. This is August the 6th, Sunday, so if you have that burning question, you can hit your speed dialer and give us a call at 1-877-969-8600. That's 1-877-969-8600, or 813-289-1860. Remember the station, 860, 813-289-1860. And if you've got something going on in your yard or garden, a lot of plants I've been thinking over the years that have changed. When I first started doing landscaping, probably darn near 50 years ago, ligustrums were in almost every landscape. Pittosporums would be put into almost every landscape. You would have viburnum put into almost every landscape. Now, you still see viburnum used a lot. You see ligustrums used as trees. So I'm not saying it's not there. They're still there. There seems to be somewhat of a difference. Pittosporums, of course, can get into some insect problems, some scales and cottony cushion scale and mealybug. But
I wouldn't know that plant if I stepped on it.
if you stepped on it, you
yeah.
might. Kind of a greenish-white plant mostly, used as kind of like a border plant or a hedge plant.
Mm-hmm.
But
Got the call. Hang on there,
hey,
Stan.
go
We'll
ahead
get
and
that.
hit your call, my man.
You bet.
And we have Ken in master control. We are making sure we started our stream a little bit late, so we're going to go in there and hit, our board up with some hard, wet spaghetti. But other than that, she gets a one little demerit point. But she normally is such a good doobie that I forgive her for making one tiny little mistake. If you're in this business long enough, you're going to make one tiny little mistake. Or maybe you're going to make a lot of little mistakes if you've been in the business as long as I have. And I've been doing radio for about 45 years. Yes, I was a youngster. I was a child when I first started in radio. And enjoy it. I've worked with some of the biggies, like our old buddy Jack Harris and Ted Webb, and did a couple stints a couple of times with the Q Zoo. Just went in there as a field goal kicker. But enjoyed that in the old days when they were the powerhouse here. But so been around a lot of the big time radio people and enjoyed, kind of being, I guess, the weekend. I always considered myself Martin Gramatica. I came in and did my field goals, and it may not seem that impressive until you need those 3 points, and then you go, gosh, it's great to have an Automatica like that that's going to make sure you get it done. So You know,
So
I'm
we, oh, sorry.
yes. Go
We
ahead,
have Dawn on line 3.
Don on line 3. Don, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Very well. Hey, my question is, what vegetables do we plant, say, in the next 2 weeks?
Well, you could probably start. Are you going to start them from seed, or are you going to try to go out and get like a little,
Yeah, we'll get little pots.
little pots? You know, we're a little bit early, but possibly some tomatoes, especially like the cherry and the patio. They continue to take the heat pretty well.
Perfect.
Eggplant, if you like them. I do, but how many? One eggplant's probably enough for me and my neighbors.
Well, you make the Parmesan.
Oh, I do love eggplant parmesan.
There you go.
That's great. I had some lettuce growing. Got a little dry while I was on my extended trip through Europe, but lost my lettuce. My tomatoes don't look too good, so I pulled those out. But I'm getting ready to think about replanting those. Kind of early for any of the cool season, like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. Unless you're just going to grow them for seedlings to eat the little, seedling. That's probably tough for them. But my sweet potatoes are taken back over part of the yard again. And of course, they're a good, healthy veggie. And many people don't know you could eat the little, washed little green leaf on the sweet potato.
Really?
Yeah. See, things you didn't know. My son and I were
I
talking.
did not know that.
No, well, that's the reason I get paid the big bucks. Well, maybe not the big bucks, but I deserve the big bucks, as Ken
Yes, you do.
Zier says. We might consider, of course, my wife always said I'd have every square inch planted with something. I've got avocados coming in right now. I have bananas that look like they might be ready to start blooming again. I've got carambolas coming on like crazy. So I've actually been taking.
Well, bring those in.
I'll bring some of those in. Ken likes those.
I like this time of year with Stan.
Carambola, star fruit. I must have, I don't know, 500 carambola on my carambola tree. And they're a distant relative of the citrus. It's the one you cut that looks like a star.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But also.
Star fruit.
Yeah, star fruit. I grow those. I grow bananas. I grow avocados. I've grown figs before. I like figs. I miss my figs. I had them at my other house. But you really have to improve the soil to get them going well. But it's a bit early for some. If you're starting from seed, well, that's a different story because you've got another month to get them up. But if you may actually go into some of the stores and they may say, well, we don't have a big selection of the tomatoes and things quite yet because the growers may not have. They're just starting them now, too.
So if we start from seed, give me 4 vegetables.
4 vegetables. Oh, tomatoes, green peppers. Do you like hot peppers?
We eat them all.
Eggplant.
Okay.
I grow, the sweet potatoes, which you can just get from a cutting. You can take that off a potato. If you see a sweet potato that's sprouted, you can take those. They'll take over half the yard if you're not careful. They just like to get growing. Watermelon, if you want to try something, that cucurbit group, I always worry about fungus. I can get great cucumbers and I can get great zucchinis, but, and I like to grow those and mix them with tomatoes and stuff when I'm growing my zucchinis. But I also like to cut them open sometimes and put a little olive oil, cut them in half, put some cheese on them, put them in the oven for a little bit. And I think that's pretty good eating as well. Other things you might do. If I were ambitious, many years ago, I grew a pumpkin, but you need there again to give it half the yard because it just wants to sprawl everywhere. But I grew a 57-pound pumpkin, which was huge. I mean, I could just put my arms around it. It wasn't like a world record, but it still looked like a pumpkin. It didn't look like something.
Did you carve that puppy?
I actually gave it to someone else, which I thought was. I kind of traded at the time. I had a buddy I used to drive a motorcycle like a 500, and I had a problem, and I said, "How about some money? And wouldn't you like a pumpkin?" And I don't know. He took me up on it. I had a 500, I had a 920, and I had an 1100 Goldwing. Back then, I was a nutty professor and liked to drive motorcycles, but can't do that really anymore since I have some foot problems. But and I'm maybe just as well, because when you do get hit, and eventually you're probably going to have a problem because somebody doesn't see you, and you're probably going to wind up dead. And if not dead,
Excellent point.
You might wish that you were. But I used to like to ride a lot. I'd ride in my bike across the thing to the stations and stuff. And all.
Did you wear a helmet?
I always wore a helmet.
Yeah.
I always wore a helmet. Always wore goggles or sunglasses, and always had the proper shoes on. It amazes me. You'll see guys out there with, flip-flops and shorts on, and I'm going, God, you better pray you don't have to ever put that thing down, because if you do. Any more questions, Don?
Thank you, Mr. Greenthumb.
Thanks for being
I'll
with
talk
me.
to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And just like Don, you can give us a call as well, and that's 813-289-1860. Stay with us as the Plant Talk continues.
Having a home consult? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at AskMrGreenthumb.com. Did you know that Stan DeFrida's Mr. Green Thumb can come to your house and examine your plants, trees, and palms? His knowledge can help you become the envy of your neighborhood with lush, green, healthy trees that don't just live, but thrive. Palms and oak trees are part of what makes Florida a beautiful place to live, but they get diseases and are often cut down. We offer ways to save your trees. Call or text Stan today at 727-423-4794 or go online to AskMrGreenthumb.com. That's AskMrGreenthumb.com.
AM 860, The Answer. Listen on our website, theanswertampa.7 FM, W229DJ Dunedin, by downloading the Answer Tampa app or on TuneIn or Odyssey. Here's the latest from the Answer News Center. AM 860, The Answer. Online at theanswertampa.com. AM 860, The Answer.
It's happening now. International Diamond Center's spectacular Summer of Savings event, giving you a break from inflation and rising interest rates. Now for a limited time, you get IDC's incredible value price plus 3 years, 0 interest financing. And IDC will even cover your first 2 payments. Rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, colored gemstones, even GIA certified. Buy now and spread your payments over 36 months with 0% interest. How about a $3,000 pair of diamond stud earrings or anniversary band? Your payment is just $84 a month and will even cover your first 2 payments completely. Or how about some rollback pricing on wedding bands at IDC? Now through August, you can take 20% off any wedding band. That's price deflation. International Diamond Center's Summer of Savings event. Your refuge from rising prices. Special discounts and 3 years, 0 interest financing. Now for a limited time. Only at International Diamond Center in Tampa, Clearwater, and Lakeland. On approved credit, some product restrictions apply. See store for details.
TV news. It's a love-hate relationship. Well, let's be honest. More hate. We agree. That's why we're different. Salem News Channel has assembled the greatest collection of conservative minds all in one place. Home to Charlie Kirk, Hugh Hewitt, Eric Metaxas, and more. There's finally a place on TV for lovers of freedom like you. Watch anytime on any screen. Free 24/7. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. That's snc.tv.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Connect online at AskMrGreenthumb.com. Got questions about gardening, real estate, or both? Locally, call 813-289-1860. Toll free at 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFrides.
And of course, James is off today. I'm doing live more of the plant stuff, though James, of course, is a broker who owns Dream It Real Estate. And that means that why should you use Dream It Real Estate? Well, you know and like and trust James. He's my son, and of course, I'm biased. But same reason if you know, like, and trust me. Why? Because we're pretty good at it. We've been at this business for a while with real estate. Yes, I've been at horticulture longer, so you may say, well, he's the horticulturist first, and he's a realtor second. Well, most realtors have done something else other than being realtors. Almost all of them. They may have had, different positions somewhere, doing something different. And it does seem like there are a bunch of us in the business. It's interesting to see what's going to happen. Typically on sales right now, the length of time has gone from maybe 7 or 8 days in some cases to about 67 days on average. So it's taking a little bit longer now. People aren't plucking down the money as quickly. There isn't quite the bidding war that there was. But there's still about 1,000 people a week coming into Florida. And so they all need homes and places to live. So that is good. Many of the states where they feel like they've been overtaxed, overregulated, they like Florida. And, of course, the climate. When folks talk about, I know next weekend we've got a nice segment that we did with Michael Daly, who is a great Irish tenor. And we cut a little, make sure you mark that down to listen next Sunday, because he is 90 years old and just a wealth of knowledge. And if I have half of his brain power, probably don't have that now, but if I had half of his brain power at 90, I will just be, doing the Irish jig, because he's knowledgeable. I love it. He tells a story that he had to sell 4 tires up in New Jersey, I think, or New York, upper New York State, the Finger Lakes, to come down here, which gave him $100. And he towed his trailer, his little mobile home, behind his car. And just one of those great, I have nothing to success stories to eventually he had about a 65,000 a foot shop, I think he said, where they were producing aluminum. And, making railings and all kinds of things.
See, in America, you can do whatever you want if you
It shows you can. Yeah, you can come down with basically nothing in your pocket. It's funny, too, because he'd had a master's degree from Cornell. And he came down, I think it was to Hillsborough County, maybe Hernando, maybe Hillsborough. And they were going to offer him $340 a month. And he goes, my bills are more than $340 a month, even back, we're talking now 1958, when dollars went a whole lot further.
Sure.
I think it's funny. We talk today and we go, well, look how much I've gained in my home. Well, yeah, you have. But every time you go to Publix and it costs you $5 for a loaf of bread, your money isn't worth quite, nearly what it was. So, yes, we can all look at inflated prices of what our real estate has become, but on the flip side, everything is more expensive. I notice gas is going up again.
Yes, it is. That's right. Yeah, and that's going to continue for about 2 more months, I guess.
2 more months, and then,
summer driving season is over.
I love it. We show the Saudis how to manipulate fuel, and we say, let's cut out doing any fuel in America. We'll just do the safe thing, and that's put it in big boats that can leak and ship it over here. That's the way you want to do it. Don't get it anything from our great Canadian friends up above us, because maybe their fuel isn't quite as clean as the Saudi fuel.
Well, they all want to get it on the open market because they get the best price that way. They want it. Oil is oil.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where it comes from. It's still going to cost the same.
Well,
it's a market. It's a market. It's a world market price.
But if you had more people bringing in oil,
true. The more you put on the market,
and if America's producing more of its own oil, guess what? It doesn't have to do is import from everywhere else.
Yeah, but as far as producing it, it's the companies who aren't fracking. They're the ones who stopped it, not the government.
Well, the government told them they can't or shouldn't.
Oh no, everybody who is fracking can frack. And they will tell you openly.
Okay.
I've read the articles
All
where
right.
like the head of
I will stand.
BP
I
said
will
we're not fracking because we learned our lesson. When we started fracking, our profits dropped. They sank because we put so much oil on the market.
So you're not worried about Americans. You're more worried about your bottom line.
Apparently, they are. Yeah.
Ah, well,
Let's nationalize the oil companies. That's what I say we should do.
yeah. I wonder what
Nationalize them. Take them.
how would they like that?
How would they like that? Yeah.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't.
That would be my suggestion. If I were president, first thing I would do is nationalize the oil company.
That does sound a little socialist, but
But hey, you know what?
I think you got another call coming in.
Oh, we do. Hey, yeah, we get that one.
Go ahead and get that one. And if you want to give us a call and make Ken really work, and I like to see him really work, that means give him a call give me a call at 813-289-1860. You're going to speak with the great Ken Zaire first before you get to me. But make sure that you've got a plant question, veggie question, landscape question. You know, I just came back from England and Scotland and Ireland. And one of the things I really loved in some of the little areas in England, especially, is they had very small gardens. Everything's kind of small, but they really packed them full of plants. I mean, there's flowering plants everywhere. And it almost looks like the way I might design something because it doesn't have that neat total order. You know, I always said my wife likes the idea of everything being junka 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 junk, and I used to kid with her that you must have a lot of German blood because she likes those things squared and you know the formal garden. I tend to be more the Jimmy Buffett gardener, where I go, let's just put it in and see what it does. You know.
Well, let's see what Dan's got for you.
All right, Dan. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Greenthumb. Pleasure talking with you. I just wanted to brag on compliment one of your advertisers, Stafford Tree Service.
Oh, good.
They came over to my house and did a job on a couple of oak trees, and they had to bring a crane and all that stuff. And they were neat and professional, and they did everything they were supposed to, and made sure I was satisfied before they left.
Oh, that is fantastic. Well, Kelly is a great person, and I know her brother's great, and her whole crew. I have never had anything but good feedback from any of the folks that have called me. They always said, hey, Kelly did a great job, and her crew did a great job, and they cleaned up nicely and didn't leave. You know, some of these guys will leave like half the stuff on your yard.
Sure. And she also gave me the letters for because it was a hazardous tree thing, so that I don't have to replant in the same place and all that stuff in case the city or the homeowner's insurance gives me any grief.
That's great. Yeah, she's a certified arborist, as am I. And before she was certified, I used to help go write some of those letters for her.
Like I said, they did a fine job. I can't recommend them highly enough. And any of your listeners that are listening to them, give them a call. They did me right.
I love to hear that because she's just a greatest person. One of my great, sponsors.
Dan, you must have lost a whole bunch of shade with those trees going down. Huh?
Well, I still got 8 more in the backyard.
Oh,
so,
8 more.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, then you're probably going to be okay.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think Ken is right. It's if you've got 8 trees, you've got plenty, and if you've got something that's a hazard, then it's often good to remove. I mean, I was joking with the folks out here that own the station here. They've got a couple of trees out there that need some work done. And I came in here today, and they had a 4-inch by 20-foot branch just fall onto the sidewalk.
Yeah, I had to drive around.
So I was joking with Ken. I said, if somebody had been, let's say, riding their bicycle along there, Ken would be working probably for a new employer by the end of not the end of the month. It'd take a year or so. But it would not be good if you knew it, and you know there's a major problem, and you just kind of do the ostrich routine. You will pay in the long run, and you will pay a lot more, and you should pay a lot more.
That's a dangerous game if it's near your house.
Yeah, well, in this case, it's just over the street. It can only hit cars and people.
Right, it's not.
So it's not really that bad here. So anyone out there driving your car, come on by here today at our station and
play a little Russian roulette. That's right. Come on by.
I will tell you that I have worked for many attorneys in the field, not only of eminent domain, but when people get physically injured by falling branches. And there's one case I worked on where they knew they should have cut the branch. They said they were going to cut the branch. They didn't. It fell, crushed a guy's lung, and I think he took over their property. So,
well, I'll mention that to our engineer. Maybe they just
I
forgot
mentioned
about it. So.
Yeah, you just show them, take a picture of that. I'll take a picture before I leave.
I'll just leave it there. It'll be there Monday.
Yeah, it's 20 feet, so
Yeah,
I don't think
I'll push it off.
I'm not going to worry about it too much. But anyway, I'm so glad to hear about Stafford. I knew they were good because I know Kelly and I know their crew there. But it's always so good to hear a feedback from somebody who says, "Hey, they went above and beyond the call of duty and made it look just perfect, and crossed their T's and dotted their I's." And I knew they would, but it means even more coming from you.
Well, I've been listening to you on the radio for years. I'm a Florida native, St. Pete native as well. So, I've been here 62 years.
You and I both. What school did you go to?
St. Pete Catholic.
Okay, St. Pete Catholic. I went to St. Pete High. I went to Riviera Junior High and North Shore Elementary when I was a youngster. So I was born at Mound Park. Now, if you're older, you remember where Mound Park is, and you also probably know where St. Anthony's is.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one I was born in, but it was one of those down there.
Well, I guarantee my grandfather was the first chief of staff at Mound Park, which became, of course, Bayfront Medical Center. Mm-hmm. But I have stories of my old grandpa and his Model T in the old days during the Depression. He used to get boxes of food and bring them to his patients that couldn't get out.
Yeah.
And I thought, try to find that today. Today it's like, how do you intend to pay? You don't have the right insurance. Go to that group over there. We call it the dying group. So anyway, no, do you remember the old $1 Million Pier?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That and Webb City.
City. Did you go down there and get your hair cut for 65 cents like I did?
No, but I went down there and watched the chickens dance.
The chicken dance? Well, what I liked is you could go get your hair cut for 65 cents, and they gave you an ice cream when you were through, in addition to giving them the mighty 65 cents. And then you could go up and watch the mermaid show, which was kind of hokey. But you could also, the bird, the chicken that did the bases was up there too.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and if Doc Webb, things had changed a little bit, we'd be going to Webmart instead of Walmart.
He probably should have. He was the greatest promoter. I mean, when the circus came to town, it came there. When he was just a one-of-a-kind kind of guy, and you'd see him in the store all the time, shaking hands with people and, kissing babies and hugging little old ladies. He was just a grand guy.
He's a grand guy like you and me.
Well, I agree. Both of us. Let's
Absolutely.
see. Do you have any other questions? We're going to go to a break set. If not, we'll keep you on hold if you want to.
I'm good.
You're good. Okay. Thanks for calling. We appreciate that. Stay with us.
Want to talk real? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at AskMrGreenthumb.com.
Why choose Stafford Tree Service? Is it because they're experienced, have the latest equipment, and friendly professional personnel? Absolutely. Stafford's positioned themselves as a leading tree trimming company in all of Tampa Bay. With honest professionals and competitive pricing, they'll earn your trust too. In business for over 15 years, Stafford Tree Service is licensed, bonded, and insured to provide you the very best tree trimming experience. Call today, 727-546-8786, 727-546-8786, on the web at StaffordTreeSVC.com.
Biophilia, our innate attraction to other living things. It's why people love plants. And around Tampa Bay, plants, that's Plantz, is bringing nature inside in workspaces and homes by delivering beautiful foliage plants. Our plants increase oxygen and filter out pollutants, reducing stress and improving productivity. And get you in touch with your biophilic side. Go to plantz.us.
More than 80 million Americans count on AM radio stations like this one for news, important weather updates, and the opportunity to discuss and debate important issues facing our country. But some people want to remove AM radio for the new cars being manufactured, and we can't let that happen. The Senate Commerce Committee has approved the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act, Senate Bill 1669, and moved it on for a vote in the full Senate. It also faces action in the U.S. House. Your U.S. Senator and your representative in Congress are in your home state during the annual congressional recess this August. When you see your senator or congressman visiting your community, please tell them you want to support to keep AM radio strong, vibrant, and available to keep you in your car. This is your opportunity to stand up and be heard. You could text AM to 52886. That's AM to 52886 to tell Congress to support AM radio. That is text AM to 52886. I can tell you personally, defending AM radio is so important. Tell Congress to support AM radio. That's AM to 52886.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb in Real Estate Show. Got questions about perennial flowers? What about issues with closing on your newest property? Locally, call 813-289-1860. Toll free at 877-969-8600. And now your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And of course, James is off, deservedly so. If you've got a real estate question, give him a call. He is a wealth of knowledge. He's a broker, owns Dream It Real Estate, and 727-254-7127 will get you to him. And if he's not available, he will get back to you immediately, as I do. If you've got a tree that has saps, has sawdust, that's kind of what I specialize in, trying to save trees. And often Kelly will send me something. Often my buddy Yutzi down in South St. Pete will call me. He'll send me something. You know, where there's a tree that's has problems, and most older trees do. Just like us. You know, I was thinking the other day, gosh, for the sweet bird of youth, you know, when I was young and I could run. I was thinking one of my longer runs, I think I ran 14 miles without stopping. And I used to love to run because I was good at it. You know, I could run about a 2.2 half and a 23-second 2:20. I like running. Even as a youngster, I'd run. Kids could ride their bikes, and I could stay up with them running about as fast as they could ride their bikes. And to me, that was almost a game. I really kind of enjoyed that. Yeah, I know it sounds a little weird, but it was something that I would sometimes run from my house in Northeast up through the golf course, around to 22nd, down to 5th, and go all the way to St. Pete High. And then I'd run back, which if you live in St. Pete, you know that that's a fairly good run. Now I thought, as you get older, you know, now getting around is a problem more. And I know if you're a youngster out there listening, you're going, oh, that's never going to happen to me. Yeah, and I said the same thing. So just remember what you say and remember how that will change, because it will. Even gardening. I enjoy doing gardening. A lot of times I get James to do some of the stuff that I used to do, partly just because I don't feel as steady going up on a ladder. There's things that I just won't do because my left foot doesn't work like it did. So those are some things that, you know, I've had to learn to live through, and we all do. You know, I had a new heart put in. That was difficult. Of course, I like to joke with my son. My heart's 20 years younger than his now. But if you have a question, got a comment, want to talk about how great Stafford did a job for you, their Stafford Tree Service, or possibly air conditioning with Easy Breezy, or possibly you want to talk about plants rental. If you're having a wedding, you need to have some extra plants around. Where are you going to have somebody bring them in? Well, Plants, Plantz. Not only that, they have a division too where they can ship plants, you know, to Aunt Martha, who's in Chicago. You don't know what to send her. She has everything. She's got every knick-knack you could ever think of, but you know she's going to enjoy another living plant. So you can send that to her in Chicago, in New York State, Ohio, Michigan, wherever it may be. You can do that. And if you have a question today, we've had a few on veggies, might have a few on landscaping. We were talking about how things have changed. 813-289-1860, 813-289-1860, and you will talk to Ken. I love to see Ken have to run back and forth and work hard. So we want to make sure Ken earns every nickel that he gets here at the mighty AM 860, The Answer. And he does. I know he's getting prepped now for the good doctor, probably warming up his engines as well. And if you've never listened to the great Dr. Bill Handelman, you should. He is a wealth of knowledge, kind of like an encyclopedia. If you have a question about history, boom, he's got the answer. Want to know what happened in World War II on Okinawa? He can tell you. Want to know what happened to some king who lost their head in France? He can give you the scoop, besides being a great doctor. So anyway, we are here to answer your questions. I was talking about plants that have changed a little bit. You know, in the old days, Scheffleras, arbicolas were not typically used. I don't remember ever using them on a landscape when I was first getting into landscaping many, many moons ago. Today, we see them used quite a bit. Ixoras we have at the station here. You typically wouldn't have seen ixoras like you would have. And I always think of our old buddy Dale because he was out there planting them when he was working here. Now Dale's a teacher and making the big dollars and also doing something he loves, which is history and helping with sports. Great guy. Still a friend. Still see that he listens in on some of our shows. And if you have that particular plant that you're not sure of, you know, one plant, the arbicola is a dwarf Schefflera, and I like it because it stays more in bounds. The Brassia actifolia, the big Schefflera, wants to get to be 40 feet tall. And that's probably bigger than what you want if it's in the front of your landscape. You don't want that right underneath your eaves because it's going to outgrow that situation. Got a caller. Great. This is Try. We love it, having another caller. What's the name on the caller? Sue. Hi, Sue. How are you?
I'm good. I was wondering, with all the mosquitoes around, are those mosquito plants, what are the ones that are supposed to be good for getting rid of mosquitoes? What are the names of them?
Yeah, okay. You may want to turn down your radio in the background just a little bit or you're going to hear yourself in delay.
Oh, I didn't think it was that loud.
No, it's not, but I could hear
Is that
it. So
better?
That's better. You get A's. Probably any of the herbs that are like that. There are some mosquito herb plants that you could go get. I think comfrey is one. Sage, I think, is another. I grow basil, partly because I like it, but I think it's supposed to deter them somewhat. I can tell you that I've grown some of these before. Probably more important is making sure you have no water settling around your landscape.
I know that.
Well, I didn't even realize I had some right where the water was settling from the air conditioning.
Well, that's what I'm looking for, but I'm looking more for like a plant.
I understand, and there are a number of herbs that you can get. I'd go by one of the local nurseries and say,
do they grow big?
No, most of them are going to stay probably a foot or so tall. They're going to be herby plants, and most of the herbs don't get to be huge. I think my basil right now is almost 2 foot, but it's probably, I've been harvesting it almost every day. I love to go out and eat some fresh basil. But, and my rosemary got too much water, and I think I'm probably going to have to replant my rosemary.
Now, is that good for mosquitoes?
Almost all of these odorous plants tend to keep some of the insects away, at least away from them. Quite frankly, if you're out there and they hone in on you're warm-blooded and they know you are, for as stupid as a mosquito is, he may not sit on the herb, but he'll come over and find your back or arm real quick.
Oh, yeah. I don't have a problem with them. Nothing bites me, but my son moved down here, and he's going crazy.
He has more problems. Well, I always used to joke with my dad. My dad was like a 2-pack a day smoker, and he never got bit. And I always told him, I said, well, you've got so much nicotine moving around in your system that if they do get your blood, they're going to die on the spot. But
is there something like a citronella plant or something?
Yeah,
like that?
I was thinking that was another one. Citronel's another herb, and it has kind of a citrusy odor, and I've raised that one before. But realize it only kind of prevents them in maybe a 2 or 3 foot area, and it's not really going to prevent them. It just they don't like it, so they'll move away from it. But
well, that's what I'm looking for. Something that'll keep them. You know, like something that grows bigger than a herb. Because I had a rosemary plant. My God, the thing was so huge, I finally had to get rid of it.
Really? Well, I love rosemary. I use rosemary on chicken. I use it on fish.
Oh, beef! I like it on beef.
I like beef too. Yeah, well, who can afford beef? No, but they tell me
who
I'm not.
Who can afford anything now?
Yeah, I was going to say I go in there. You know, literally, when I was a kid, my dad had extra loaves of bread from a bakery where he worked, and I'd go through St. Pete with a little red wagon through the alley. And I would sell extra loaves of bread for $0.10.
Oh, wow.
And today, I was in the store the other day and I thought my father would roll over in his grave if he saw the differences in pricing. Now, things were different back then. I think he paid, $8,000 for his house, and where his house is now in St. Pete, there's an $850,000 house.
Yeah.
So times have changed, but,
When we used to come down visiting my parents,
right.
we lived in Buffalo, bread was $1 a loaf here, which I thought was outrageous because in Buffalo, bread was 25 cents a loaf for just a plain white bread.
Yeah, that's what it normally.
There was expensive stuff.
I remember
down here.
25-cent loaves of bread. In fact, I think the average loaf back then was 25 cents when I was selling mine for a dime.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
Not
We're just about out of time.
Okay.
But
well, thank you.
Thank you. And you're in a better climate than Buffalo during the winter.
You're not kidding.
Thanks for being a caller.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Take time to smell the roses, enjoy life and garden. And as Teddy used to say, go out there and live it up.
Want to talk real estate? Call James DeFreitas at 727-254-7127.